Guys, welcome back to another PLO poker coaching live stream. We're jumping into some rush and cash again. It seemed like that was the preferred platform, and we're going to break down some hands as we go. Obviously, we won't have any solver stuff open while we're playing, but when we sit out, I think that it is fine. I'm going to put a few links here in the chat. See if this works this time. If you are interested in a free session, you can head over to PLOpokercoaching.com, whereby you can set up that free session, and we will talk through what areas of your game might be best to work on, and then also develop a plan for you going forward. And also at PLOpokercoaching.com, you will be able to view our premium content, which is pay as you go, so just individual videos, no commitments or anything like that. And there is also a bunch of free content there as well, so definitely check that out. I'll just post a few of these in the chat. And also make sure you join our Discord server as well. There is a good amount of activity in there in terms of hand reviews and different things like that. And I do go in there quite often to see what's going on and provide my feedback to different situations that our members get into. So I will give you that link as well. I know some people were saying that they had an issue with the link. It seemed to work fine for me. I copied and pasted it into my browser and it worked fine, so maybe try that if it doesn't work directly. Okay, so I think we should be good to go. So let's jump into the action. Marginal open here, but with someone this tight in the blinds, definitely an area that you want to attack in Russian cash, and you want to be relatively aggressive. Here, I mean, we block a ton of the raising range. Sometimes we can barrel, and against a raise, easy fold. On this particular turn, I actually quite like a pot here. I mean, and just pot fold this hand. That's a bit too strong to pot fold. We're gonna go for check call. And checking on the left. With the open ender, pot folding isn't great. I mean, we could bet, and then when we have this river decision to make, I guess we have a pretty good bluff catcher. And on the left, just folding with the ultimate unblockers and zero equity. And given the people behind, I think we can open this, even though it's way too loose for under the gun. But looking at some of these V-pips behind, should be still profitable. And this one probably less so when we have such a wide player in the cutoff that's going to call a lot. We're going to play with a pretty marginal hand out of position a lot of the time. And so maybe we'll sit out and just take a look at that turn spot as to whether it is something that we would want to lead. 8-8 deuce deuce here on this particular board, especially with the small blind calling range interacting well with the queens. When we get raised here, we're just never in a good spot. So I think out of sets, this is a good one to check back. And then we're definitely going to bet the turn. I expect some leads, you know, when he does have kings. Definitely when he has queens. I don't think he'll check again. Unfortunate if we get raised. And on this river, with quite a few straights completing, we do unblock king queen. And I think he's more likely to lead rivers. He's more likely to lead rivers if he has clubs in his hand there, with you know, when he rivers the straight. So when we unblock clubs, I think it's a bit better to go for the bet, because I think that he will have more leads in his range if he blocks some of our missed draws. So one of the earlier hands we had here was Jack 9 8 5, and kind of interesting just to see in this turn spot whether or not it is a good spot to double barrel. I mean, having the 5 blocker and then turning the 9 is quite nice, because we block, you know, some of the very strong hands in terms of sets that he can have. 10's obviously going to raise us a ton on the flop. So we kind of look at a similar spot here in the trainer. And definitely don't pull up solvers or anything like that while you're actually playing. But we're effectively sat out, we're not at the tables, so this is fine in Russian cash. Probably wouldn't even try it in cash games, to be honest. But this is something that we can go and check out in PLO trainer. And so if we go to post flop, and what did we have? So we had a small blind versus big blind spot, and tons of flop choices in the PLO mastermind. So if you're interested in signing up with that solver, it's definitely the best solver software out there that you can get. There is a link below where you can sign up. You can sign up for free, in fact, and try out their pre-flop stuff. But if you do end up signing up for a paid membership through my link, you will get some bonus material in terms of access to our video content. So definitely check that out. So we had a 10-5 deuce flop, and they've added a pretty good feature. I mean, obviously we have the flop here, not with turns though. So if we want to, you know, look for something like 10 deuce 3, it'll tell us, okay, we don't have that flop. But here are some similar ones. We kind of want a two-tone board. 10-5-4 is a little bit more connected, and will probably mean that we have more leads, so we have to kind of be careful there. but we did decide to c-bet with a pair blocker and some backdoors, which I think is probably going to be fine. Not a huge lead frequency given this low connectivity. If you change this board to the actual 10-5 deuce, I think that we will have more leads, but we will use that one for turns. So if we look at our actual hand here, it's slightly less, in fact. Figured we would actually have a bit more of a bet frequency. Yeah, so actually slightly higher on this board. I would think that, you know, probably against some big blind calling ranges, especially, you know, when players are quite tight out of the big blind, that, you know, these kind of lower boards, you're going to have a good sort of c-bet success rate. So if we are going to bet kind of our bluff type hands that are not bigger than 2 pair, and you know, we'll see, like, relatively standard. When we block a 5, that jumps up quite significantly. So when we have like Jack 9, 8, 5, pretty good bet frequency. Especially looks like when we have some backdoor flush draws, which makes sense because we can turn some equity like we did with the 2 pair and open ender. But either way, let's look at when we bet and call here. And we get the suited 9, which we don't have here. We can take, I guess, a suited 8, but that brings in the straight. So if we take the offsuit for now, it's going to change it up quite a bit. So a lot of our turn barrels probably are going to include a 9. When we have our 9 in our hand, we're going to bet 75% of the time. When we have a hand like 9-5, it is going to be 80% of the time. So when we have a straight draw on top of that, yeah, we just have too much equity to bet, and we're just going to bet call, I would think, pretty much all of those. And you can look here, kind of good example just to see where the bottom of your value range is you can go ahead and just pot raise, and then go into this feature that they have, which is the strength buckets. And you'll see that 2 pair, so not top 2 pair, so 2 pair, like another 2 pair with a straight draw. We are going to bet fold some, so this will play kind of mixed. So probably like the very best and the very worst are the ones that are going to bet on the turn. And so I think probably ones like 9-5, 8 jack. We're going to have, you know, we're not going to fold this hand, so probably can't bet it on the turn. We did have a heart blocker as well, which would change on this dynamic board. So I think we might have missed a bet on the turn there. It'd be interesting to see this one in terms of a more dynamic turn that doesn't bring in a straight. Which we don't really have the option of, but one of the nice features of PLO Trainer is that you can just run a quick script and you can copy and paste that into Monka, and you can run this turn in a few seconds. We're not going to do it right now since we're in the middle of live streaming, but that's something that you could do. So looks like Solver would potentially want to double barrel this type of hand. Be more interesting on a much more dynamic turn. I think we have a lot less fold equity when the flush draw comes in, but likely something close, and likely a bet that we could have probably snuck in there for value. And yeah, okay, so let's jump back into the stream. And we're going to close this out and get back into the action. I think you're better playing squeezing these kings. And then just folding to a 4-bet from under the gun unless there's calls behind. And obviously stacking off here. And I think a nice hand to squeeze here out the big blind. We win the first one and lose the second. Fair enough. 3-way 3-bet pot. I mean, I think we're just gonna bet a quarter on this board and bet fold. Because sometimes we can barrel with backdoor equity, and just very hard to connect with that board if they don't have an ace. So I like the lead. And I'm gonna flat with the min raise. Flop pretty well. And on the left, we're gonna raise kind of range with this guy in the big blind, and on the right with nut draws, definitely going to call to try and keep this guy in behind. And well, I mean, I guess the guy behind is all in. I mean, we wanted to keep that guy in, and folding on the left since, you know, we're trying to steal a blind against a tight player. And pretty good spot on the right. Not when he has 3 hearts. That's kind of unfortunate. Diamond is live for the bigger part of the pot, I guess. That does not help. So get it in. Pretty good 3-way. Unfortunately, run into a bunch of hearts. And on the left, I think just wanted to check call here. Definitely could check raise, but with the 8-8, it's quite nice just because we can utilize it on future streets. And then just going to be check folding this turn. And this guy is crazy. Oh, it's 7 hands and seems pretty wide, so I'm just gonna jam over the top against him. Three times, sure. Two out of 3 in the bag. Can't win all 3, but fair enough. Queen Jack 8-5. Do we want to 3-bet against the steal? Don't really want to fold this hand. And it's actually a pretty good turn card for our range, especially when he doesn't bet flop. We'll actually have more Broadway pairs compared to, you know, the wider sort of uncapped range that this guy's gonna have in terms of all of the aces. And we will actually have a good amount of checks on this board. And I think I like just check jamming without the spade. He's 10-9-5. This guy's short, so I think we're actually just gonna fold. And we will run it twice. Fold on the first. Quads on the second. Ship it. Ship it, ship it, ship it. Not a board I'm gonna have many C bets on King Jack 3. And small lead on the turn. Tempted to raise here with the ace of hearts. I just usually see bigger bets here. Not to deal with this guy behind if he turned, you know, some decent draw or equity that he can obviously shove over the top. And then I think unblocking all the pairs, kind of a mandatory jam on the river. And we get snapped by the 10 high flush. I mean, kind of the hand that we were putting on there, sort of betting way too merged into two people. So don't love it. But obviously when he gets to the river there, never folding. The 10 high flush. And obviously that's not a solver player. You know, we'd want to have, you know, perhaps a king or something like that. And when we go ahead with that, but I don't see anyone betting into 3 people 1/3 with king. Often the bet sizing is just pretty representative of what it actually is. And could have some leads here. Actually 3-bet pot, sorry. Pretty good turn for our range. I think we do want to go ahead and bet now. I think our opponent would be taking stabs with some of the connected cards. And given that I'll be checking my range, I expect to face a lot of aggression on the flop. So when I don't, definitely a turn that I want to go ahead and lead. I actually don't love this raise on the right after I clicked it, given that this guy will not having an ace here. Ace Jack I like it a lot more, just because this guy is gonna limp jam aces a good amount. And I think we're gonna check back if we get the opportunity. Obviously we're never holding out better. We block some of the better hands that might fold whenever folding an ace, and we have good equity against an ace. Now somewhat have kind of like the second nuts almost, I guess. The question is queen's gonna fold? Probably not if we don't bet here. But I think I always bet an ace on the flop, so I can never rep quads. Someone can obviously have quads, and I don't think that we fold out queens. I'm probably not even going to go for a value bet, because there's just nothing really that can call us. Yeah, I think we're getting snapped by queens. And with this 4 deuce, actually gonna bet here. Not really many turns that we can call a probe on, so and turning a queen with a heart blocker after a pretty snappy check back. I think we're going to bet here. Double suited queens. With this guy in the big blind who doesn't 3-bet, I think I do like the call. I think it's a decent candidate to check back with 2 backdoor flush draws. We can call some probes like this one. And I have the bare open ender here against a large bet out of position. I think we're just gonna fold, and then the jam, definitely letting this one go. And guys, if you are enjoying the content, please give us a like. It definitely helps boost up the engagement, and yeah, when there's more engagement, there's more incentive for me to stream and put out more content for you guys. So solid turn on the left, pot size bet on the turn. I'm just gonna fold. On the right table, just gonna continue potting. And I mean, I think it is a hand that we do want to go for, especially against what looks like quite a loose passive player. Gonna have a bunch of flush draws in there. Even though we do block the flush draws, we don't block the higher flush draws. A 3-bet slightly deeper. It's a very marginal hand, but we do want to play it in position. And I think this is a good spot to raise against probably a range-ish c-bet. Against a check. Like, I don't see him check ripping aces here that much. So I'm going to bet for value here. I think we're often ahead. and we can, I guess we're a little deeper. I didn't see the SPR, so it's a bit gross when we get check raised. Yeah. But we're obviously not folding at this point. So again, probably should have checked back given that we're a bit deeper. Turn the nuts on the right and going for pot size bets. Can't hit on the left. Yeah, so I think a mistake there on the left. SPR of like 3-ish. I don't mind it as much, but I think a little bit deeper there. 10-10-4. We are very deep, but this is a disconnected board. And I think we're going to lead. We have the wrap on the left. Good-ish turn. Actually, great turn because we block the king as well. So when he calls on the flop, he will have some flush draws. He will have some 10x, but a lot of his 10x is going to raise. So maybe hands like queens. And pair nut gotcha on the right. I think we're just gonna fold. And on the left, I'm actually gonna lead here. Great turn. He'll definitely have some sets in his range though. Given that this board is so dry, he'll have some more slow plays. So getting jammed on is unfortunate, but I think there's too much value out there in terms of like pair and straight draws and two pairs that we can block to check back. Queen obviously a much more relevant blocker here. And this guy is quite tight. So I'm not sure if this is the best c-bet, to be honest. Given that his cold call range is probably going to be pretty tight. And then we do get raised here, and obviously snap folding. Could argue to bet on the left here, given that we need some protection from overcards like this. We do turn a nice boat on the left, on the right, sorry. I think we do want to use a large sizing, given that the board is quite dynamic. And at this point, I think if we bet pot, maybe some 9-6 hands can call. I think using the smaller sizing, we're not really going to value bet straights here, so we're actually going to go pot and pop fold. And yeah, not a great river. I think in that spot, when we don't really have value, we're not really value betting a straight, so using a half pot sizing doesn't really make that much sense. And giving up once we get called on the left. This guy doesn't 3-bet much. I really want to cold call his hand and play against him. We do block the jamming range slightly from this guy. Utter whiff city on the flop with the best anti-block as possible, so I'm just going to be check folding. When it checks through, blocking the straight, I don't expect this guy to kind of check back many flushes. Like you can have aces though, which obviously not going to fold. I might be picking off against the wrong guy here, trying to get him to fold a flush. But we do get it through. Have a pretty dreamy board on the left. SPR of 3. I'm in a 6. Like there's not really many continues. Do we ever want to check back here? I don't think so. I think we just go small. And gonna flat the trip aces here with the short stack behind, hopefully, and get a squeeze. And we will have some leads on this board. Do we want to with minimal equity? Not a good hand to check call. Wanted to bet smaller there. I don't really want to check call this hand, so I'm fine just bet folding it. And on the left, kind of just saw the wide player min-raising, but then realized he was very short, so this is not the best ISO here. We'll call it off. Yeah, that's the issue that you run into. Somehow ahead. And we do win. On the right table against half pot, I think could call, could raise. These guys behind him actually gonna call this hand on the button. And I mean, we do block a lot here. I'm just gonna go half pot. Given that we can bet some straights on this turn, and obviously less nutted distribution after we check back everywhere. And do we want to squeeze these queens? Maybe if they were double suited. Pretty good river on the left. On the right, going to peel, and on the left, do we want to bet or a check raise? We don't really unblock enough of the bluff catches. Like, we don't have any pairs. Pot size turn bet. Pretty unfortunate. But with the set, I guess we do have to call. And we now lose to kings. Okay. So when we do call, I mean, I think mostly we're just gonna have a pot sizing here. And we would have cooled the king 10 guy who thinks he folded the nuts. And loose call here, but I guess we're continuing in position. I'm gonna lead here and then go 1/3 and then pot rivers. And not ideal. Probably with the ace, less bets that we want to have there. Anton, what is going on, my friend? Welcome to the chat, welcome to the stream. It's going all right today. It's going all right today. I think we might be down a buy-in or so. Had a few rough runouts. A couple of mistakes as well. Didn't really sleep last night, so taking it easy today. So no high stakes MTTs today. Definitely not got the correct energy levels for that, so figured we'd jump into some streaming. I mean that we block the like 7-8 type hands and hearts. I don't expect him to have any sets, but I think he'll have overpairs that he's not going to fold. So he got a call. Not sure why I'm saying out. I guess I timed out. What happened here? We raise. I think check calling's fine. Definitely a good turn. And we'll definitely have some large size bets on this turn. We can definitely get called by ace X, which will then fold to a double barrel. And generate some value that way. I mean, this guy being so tight, we just get to play in position a lot for a min raise. I know he's short, but and decent opportunity to squeeze. Against some slightly tighter ranges, though, I think we're just gonna call. This board just might have too many strong hands, especially with the ace of clubs uncovered, to go for the raise here. 6 is obviously not really a relevant blocker. But when we raise with the 10s, especially with being short, or like his sort of sets, or his like ace X of clubs, we get raised on the right, which isn't really fun. And I think we often run into like ace X, and yeah, I think we're just gonna check, especially not having diamonds. Yeah. Especially not having diamonds. He's gonna go for a lot of check calls, hoping for some misdraw bluffs, which I don't really think is a great idea at these stakes, because when people call that check raise there like I did, they almost exclusively have 10x. I'm gonna see a bit on the left, just given that we block a good amount of his stronger hands. In terms of the mid straight, not a great turn. Obviously he has a lot more 5-4 in his range. Gonna check back here, and then we'll be checking back this river now that we turn some showdown value and beat hands like 5 deuce or some overpairs. He does have pretty much the nizzles. And top 2 in a straight blocker, going to lead on the right with plenty of draws out there. And with this river, how aggressive is this guy? 2 hands. I think missed flush draws, blocking some of the pairs. You know, he's going to have some straights that he'll value bet. And he's never calling this type of hand, so I think checking is the right play there. Oh shit. I thought I was calling him in res. Oops. Come on, 7. I mean, a fold, I guess we call and then fold to a jam. What a nightmare of a hand. Oh god. That's not very fun. Very unfortunate turn. I think this guy's a draw. I mean, he could have hit a straight as well, so. Unfortunate series of events. Given these two players, I think this is fine to raise. I mean, it's almost like having it on the button of the cuff. Deuce on the left table. Probably a hand that we're gonna lead. And on the left, just unblocking all of the draws. That's really all we're hoping to get him to fold. And yeah, I guess that makes sense to check call river. I think we're definitely supposed to, from a GTO perspective, continue here. Could probably just fold, to be honest. It's very thin. Do you think he'll call us with Queen 10? pretty good turn on the right. Do we want to raise? I think we do with his stack size. Don't know that we have any fold equity though. Guess we do. And I kind of like check raising on the left. There's not really much we can do it with apart from a deuce. Oh, this guy's pretty short. I gotta wake up. Yeah, I mean, so he effectively always has a deuce. Maybe he has aces sometimes. But, you know, we have the 7 and the jack, so we do have some overpower equity. And we 3-bet, and pretty much going to be betting range on this board. Get called. Very bad turn. What? Okay. I'm guessing he might be a hold'em player. Just call my check raise with ace high. Check back on the right. After calling small c-bet on the flop, can definitely have some overpairs. Snap check, hopefully we win. He has a 4. And on the left, just shoving. SPR a little over 1, disconnected board, and backdoor flush draw. Can't scoop the little side, but we'll take it. And don't know how many overpairs we fold out here, but we do have the 7s, which play nice, and the clubs. And gonna go for the check call on the right. I don't want to have to bet fold some decent equity and some backdoors. The thing is we do unblock a lot of flush draws, which you won't bet. I'm just gonna lead this turn. Not a great turn on the left, so just gonna check back without a heart. Blocking a pair as well. And obviously the lower straight with having the 2 queens. Probably gonna see a lead here. Okay. And definitely want to squeeze on the right. Pretty good flop. Low SPR, just pawing and stacking off. And pretty unideal spot, pretty standard there. Don't love the pre-flop play. He's queen 8-8. And we'll be calling the squeeze, I guess, on the right. Oh, I thought we punished him when he wouldn't run it multiple times, but just the boat on the turn. Rough run on table 2 in the last 5 minutes. Do I provide staking? No. I'm just going to lead against this recreational player with a wide range. A best turn. I think probably check calling here. I mean, the 9s are nice, so we could actually go for a lead. I think we'd probably want a spade. The 2 9s just mean that when we get raised, we're skewed a bit more towards jacks. Hey, LPD, well, glad you could make it into the stream today. I think now we can bet with the 2 9s in our hand to get value from some of those flush draws. It's less likely now that we get raised, obviously without particular blockers. We do just get jammed on. I mean, I don't know I can fold against this guy. Does just have the 10-9. Classic. I got 4-bet when I had ace, ace, jack, jack, 9 double, so I 5-bet, flop is 10, deuce, deuce, rainbow guy stacks off 450 big blinds with queen, jack, 10, 8, 8. And I'm guessing you somehow lost. What is up, Bamakist? Yeah, I've been doing a bit of the... I actually only paused once. I kind of forgot about that a little bit. Maybe we should take a look at some hands. Maybe we'll look at that. I mean, it's not going to be... I don't know. Could be close to GTO, but... yeah, whether we should lead a set on that turn on the straightening card without spade. I think probably checking back on the right. Hand's probably a bit too strong to turn into a bluff. The king of clubs. We run into 2-pair a good amount. And the question is, do we get him to fold a flush? I don't think ever. I think he just has like 6-7 with the flush. Nice. So let's look at so this spot here. So it was multi-way, but we'll just look at it heads up. Check calling flop, and see what we look like. So let's do post flop. I have to do big blind. I'm not sure in terms of, yeah, they don't have turns. Just do button versus big blinds. I mean, I definitely called wider against this particular player, and we had a jack 8 3 flop. We can do Jack 8 deuce, two-tone. Perfect. So we'll have some leads, not really much. I don't develop leading branches really on this board. And then when we check and we face a bet and we have 8-8, we're gonna raise 54% of the time. Obviously, when we have spade, we're always gonna be raising. When we have a jack, we're gonna be raising a good chunk as well. But when we have like a 9-9, well, I guess we raise that against the button. When we have a 9, it goes up a little bit. We can't have 9-9, which is a little awkward. 7-7, no, it's not in our range. So yeah, so 9 increases it, but I think if we probably have 9-9, it's probably more on the check raising side. But yeah, when you have these kind of individual blockers with no spade, we're gonna be calling obviously 50%, and if we have no 9, we're gonna be calling a little bit more just because our playability is not as good when we kind of check raise there. But when we play check call here and the turn is, let's say, a 7, this is going to be hard because we can't show 9-9, which is unfortunate. But we are leading a good amount, and when we have a 9, we lead a ton more, especially when we don't have a spade. So I think I like the lead. Solver used a smaller sizing here. I think I went half pot, and then we get raised. This guy was shorter, but you'll see that middle set is like never bet folding. So anyone we do decide to lead on the turn is a good candidate to go ahead and check call. So I think we played it quite well. Unfortunately, we did run into the nuts, but can't be too afraid of that if you want to have aggression in your game. So let's jump back out of this. And I'm going to take a break for 2 seconds. We'll be right back. All right. Let's get back into the action. Rohit, I mean, again, I don't offer staking. And if I did, just think about it from my perspective, why would I stake someone at $5 buy-in games? Wouldn't really make any sense. I guess with a call, we probably want to call. I mean, this is very not good. Having a pair and having 3 clubs. Against this wide of a range, I'm going to c-bet a decent amount here. I mean, he's playing more of a big blind calling range, probably out of the small blind. I don't think we get him to fold a jack. We do unblock straights. Pretty good river. On this board, against his back calling range, I mean, we're trying to get him to fold some overpairs here. If he has an overpair and flush draw, he's not obviously going to fold. But we block that pretty well. We have some nice backdoor straight draws as well. There's backup equity if we do end up getting it in. Yeah, Robert, I guess. I thought that it would be in there, Rainbow. I can't remember what, well, post flop is PLO 500 reg structure, I think. But yeah, I thought it might be in there. And just gonna call here in position. We can bluff some pairing turns, and obviously can just river the nizzles. And problem is that he almost always has a straight. And it calls 1/3. Could have a weaker flush, I guess. I'm not betting straights at this point, so I think we want to polarize. And should have just jammed on the right, didn't even realize, but doesn't matter. And we lose 2 out of 3 with some good equity, but is what it is. And giving up on the right. With like 4, 5, 8. We obviously block 7s decently, block some of the wraps that he can have, and yeah, we just obviously giving up on this card. This is like not a solver play. Just usually that kind of bet size is often ace ace, which we can put a lot of pressure on. Usually we don't want to be raising out of position with you know, basically no equity hands. I think just check folding this turn. And then block bang river. And I think too many good turns to bet and risk a check raise here. Pretty good one. I think we do want to bet for some value. We can get called by worse. Oh, actually didn't realize the straight complete on the turn, so not the best bet, but I expect them to lead a good amount of straights anyway, so. Oh, sick. Check calling again, I guess, on the turn. But we do unblock a lot of the straight draws that are out there. We have the nut gut shot, and then deuce off 4 is usually good as well. I don't want to block river. I mean, is he gonna raise like queen 9-9? We shouldn't really have a leading range here. I guess maybe we should check. Yeah, I mean, wrapping queen 9-9 at this point. Pot size bet, just gonna fold. Yeah. People will find that bluff, so that's why I don't mind checking as much. And not a great card for our hand, but a very good card for our range. And just donks pot on the river. Very tempted to fold. Very tempted to fold. Having 4-5. Like, why would he donk pot over pairs? Can still have like 3 deuce out of the big blind. On the right, I think we potentially block too much of the board when it's this disconnected. And on the left, don't think we're gonna fold out ace-x much. And on the right, unblocking hands like queen 9, queen x now that are going to continue. And yeah, I think still just going to give up on the left. And actually gonna go ahead and lead this hand. Very good turn card for our range. And just gonna bet call. Pretty bad river. Eight 10 is gonna be more in the range than like 6-8. So it does go for the small sizing, wrapping the straight. Would much rather have an 8 here. I don't think we can fold to this size though. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, so he does have the lower straight there, which makes sense based on the sizing, but I think against that sizing, we're usually gonna have to call. And just out on the right. And bang on the left for some blockers with limited playability on turns. Easy filter, check res. Like, there's really not that many turns that we're going to be able to call a probe on. Kind of want to res this. This is really wide, but I mean, super tight button and big blind. Pretty good flop on the left. I think it's quarter enough to go ahead and lead against players that are usually a bit more passive. And who will continue all draws. I think now unblocking clubs with a kind of low SPR. I think it looks a bit too strong to just pot. I'm actually gonna check. And we can always pretty much get the stacks in on the river. If he does elect to check back. And just gonna jam. I don't know if he's gonna bet fold or flush. And against pot size bet, I mean, guess we have to call. Can't have some like 8-9 in there. He does have 8-9. And we hold. I think just blocking like a ton of the stabbing range here. I'm actually going to lead on a board that I should have a good amount of leads on. Oh, the big blind. You'd argue with the 9 and the 7 that, you know, potentially we block too much of the continues there. So finding raises with bottom 2 pairs. 2 backdoor flush draws, I don't mind it. Obviously, very bad turn card. And on the left, I think I'm going to be checking back. He's top and bottom. I think we run into a 10 a lot on the right. I mean, Yeah, he's not folding a 10, so. Just gonna bet call pot. I mean, this guy's gonna play relatively straightforward. He'll jam like 2 pair plus, pair open ender, any clubs. Alright guys, that is going to be it for me. Going to go and catch some Premier League football that is going on. Already missed the first half of that, so might be back on later on today. But if not, potentially tomorrow. But as always, thank you guys for tuning in, and check out PLOpokercoaching.com. And good luck at